Tuesday, January 10th edition of the real KNC. Ken Laird.
Chris Curtis.
Putting us behind Minahan a little bit here today.
Damn it, Dufresne, you're putting me behind.
We had to wait in the wings. Big Thursday podcast, Enough About Me.
What about me? Is that the name of the podcast?
Takes priority, God knows.
Well, Bradford's here, so he was doing the hockey lines at Fenway. Now he's redoing the batting order with the podcast, so he's, swaying his weight around.
Sounded pretty intense from what I heard, so I think Thursday's Enough About Me will be a good one.
Ziegler is a nut job.
10 of them.
It is good. It was argumentative. They were well into almost an hour at that point, or however how long that was, but they were...
Crazy, interviewing crazy.
Were you trying to get crazy with essay?
Oh, yeah. I think Minahan wins this one, but it was good. It was it'll be a great listen tomorrow.
Okay, that's
or
coming.
Thursday.
As you can tell by the sounds of our voice, no Tunnel Vision podcast as promised yesterday on the show. Jerry was a little upset about this at 6 a.m. this morning off air, that we had promoted that it was going to happen today, because it's not.
Well, yesterday, Jerry and Kirk met with management after the show, and I was told it was going to be something related to the casting couch about, what are we doing, what are our plans for the Super Bowl, other things. Turns out Jerry spoke for almost 90% of it about wanting to bring back Java with Jerry.
We call it Java.
So I don't know what's up, but still no podcast.
No, it turns out they have strategically, according to management, planned the relaunch, the rebranding of Tunnel Vision for Inauguration Week.
That's a lie.
To try to spin it election heavy, I don't know. Jerry loves this because there's another 3 weeks he doesn't have to fucking work after he gets out of here.
Jerry fights it, whether it was the graphic before or whatever it is, he fights it to the point where he can put it off another week, and it just seems to keep happening on a loop.
Here's the curse again.
We are launching a new website, too, where your dog collar picture is supposed to debut. When is that, Super Bowl week?
I guess, we'll be in Houston, and I'll be, emasculated on the new website. It'll be great. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so all that's going on behind
Speaking
the
of
scenes.
Jerry, can we just get one thing out of the way?
Yeah.
His obsession with Jim the Wrestling Goon.
We're going to go to the calls, and the first call, Jim the Wrestling Goon is on
Oh,
the line.
good. I always like Jim. We'll talk to him when we get back.
What was that all about, Jerry?
Jim the Wrestling Goon hung up.
Jerry, get past
He's too big a star.
Just get past it.
Where would you put Jim the Wrestling Goon among legendary Boston callers?
I mean, he's up there. He's in the top, 5 or so. I mean, he's been calling forever. Jerry likes him because he's a right-wing nut. I mean, he's to the right of Jerry.
I think he's a nut.
He didn't want to hang on. I don't know what he's doing.
What did he say to you? He called it, 6:45?
No, he called... I think he called it 6:30.
Well, we came back with the Schwartzman audio from last night. They were updating the game that had ended 8 hours ago on our morning show.
1 second remaining in the national championship game.
On our lead-in, which we love when Amani and Dan get to the breaking news.
The game just did a 15-3 nationally, had over 30 million viewers, and we're talking about it, right before the field goal kick at, the extra point to tie the game or whatever.
Bama has given up a touchdown.
Anyway.
Interesting day today. We had Alex Reimer back in, of course.
Likes to ride his orca.
I got to give Reimer this. Very few times he appears that he doesn't say something memorable.
Jocks on his head.
The memorability factor with Reimer is very high. Today he attacked Boston's public transit, the T.
Well, you go to Mattapan. There's no T in Mattapan. None.
One of America's great institutions. Called it racist.
The inner city areas where they need public transportation, they don't have it. Yet the D line goes all the way to Newton on the Wellesley border.
So we play the sound of Jamel Hill at the top of the 7 o'clock hour.
It's racist because this is America. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a racist city, but there's racism in the city. So therefore, hey, 1 + 1 = 2.
Reimer says he agrees with what she said. In so many words, that she was accurate, that Boston is racist, there's racism in every city, whatever. And then somehow we get to public transportation and that there is no T in Mattapan.
T is racist.
Yes, the way it's designed is just a coincidence.
Yeah. No hospitals in poor neighborhoods.
Why is there only one hospital in Dorchester? Kearney Hospital. That's it. That's it. One.
And no T in Mattapan.
And this, Kirk had the great point. Growing up here, you listened to Eddie Andelman, and he'd throw out these absurd theories about how things worked and just say it as fact.
No one's going to tell me what to say.
And this is pre-internet. So you could just get away with it because there was no real... You're not going to get the Encyclopedia Britannica and scroll through it for what Eddie Andelman's saying.
Dale did that on the 18th.
But now with this advent of the internet, which actually works sometimes here, you can look it up in 2 seconds, so the text line is full.
Text machine tough guy.
There's the T in Mattapan. I got a text from former producer Iggy, devoted listener to this podcast, who said, I am sitting here on the T in Mattapan, listening to Reimer say it doesn't exist.
Go to Mattapan. There's no T.
That carried for a couple hours as a running theme. If Dino were in today, would we have gone down the road of hospital locations in Boston and the origins of the T, don't you think? Dino would have loved it.
Well, you know what? Go to hell.
Because you were turning away people by the dozens who wanted to weigh in.
Yeah, there's a hospital down in Brockton in a rough area. I want to talk to Rima because he's a moron. That was the call that we were getting all morning. And I don't know. Do you agree with I don't want to have people calling in all morning
No,
about
totally.
where the hospitals
would have been an hour of service dogs.
What does your dog do for you?
Dino's final show with Kurt Schilling.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, New England.
But to your point, Reamer does always say something. It doesn't always have to be true like today or that well thought out like most days, but there is something memorable, whether it was the shot out of the ass last week.
And if you pull down your pants a little bit.
Or
Yeah, the vodka shot.
moral 9/11.
11/9 was America's moral 9/11.
Oh, right.
All that stuff.
During the holidays, we had him going at Ivanka Trump.
That's right. But Kirk's mentioned this, and I do now sort of
pesky poll references that I had to dump all over the place.
right off
Kirkland Fisk poll.
the start of the show, and we're
Christ.
sleep deprived from seeing Patriots Day.
Yeah. No, I like Reamer. One interesting note from today. We got into college football, Clemson, and their big win over Bama, straight off the top.
Watson. Touchdown.
We got back into it a bit at 8. God, it was so big. Jerry missed Tucker Carlson last night, so this is on the importance meter.
I missed Tucker
Every
Carlson's 9 o'clock debut to watch this game.
He was fully aroused last night. He said he was doing college football national championship, and then during commercial breaks, Saving Private Ryan. So, I mean, Jesus Christ.
Even Saving Private Ryan.
Talk about porn in every spot.
No need for tube galore at the Callahan house.
I'm not sure Alex saw the national title game last night.
I watched some of it.
I'm not getting that feeling.
How can you?
Halftime.
No, not even. That's a lie.
How can you not?
That's a lie.
My question
It was
is,
on in the apartment.
He didn't watch a play of the game. You knew we were going to be talking about it. So you had to have some understanding. Even Jerry said he went to bed before the end, caught the end of the final couple minutes this morning, and same with Kirk. But you have to sort of get into it a little bit. And I felt like that was a point where Alex should have been more prepared. Should have at least had a couple talking points he was ready to go with.
Like Kirk and Jerry went back and forth on Belichick v. Saban for a little bit. At least, you can spin it locally somewhat.
Lost.
Who would you rather have coach your team, Belichick or Saban?
What team? College team, Saban.
Really?
Absolutely.
You think Belichick would kick ass in college?
No.
Right.
They got into, should Sarkisian have been the coordinator? I mean, it's a little wonky for us, but there are times when it's a big event like that, you have to be prepared to talk sports some. I think that's one of Alex's fine lines. He can be even better if he embraces the sporty when we get to sporty.
Castro loves sports.
And be ready for the sporty, because there are times we're going to go there.
SPORTS.
But the way the Patriots are going, it may not be for a while till we get to Houston, but there are games where they will do 3-4 hours of just, 4th and 2 a couple years ago or whatever the big story is.
I think tomorrow might be heavy Texans talk. What do you think?
Well, I mean, we were asked this
Checkbox,
morning
coaching advantage.
In the control room, Paul asked us, how much Texans have you done today? And I looked at him like, you had 10 heads. We haven't done any fucking Texans. What is
Paul, you're a dope.
What are we going to talk about the Texans for? We did get into the World Juniors because I thought the U.S. struggled a bit. Dale disagreed. So we'll do that
They
again.
won the World Junior Championship.
I have no idea.
Don't bring that to me. It was a great year for the Americans, including Charlie McAvoy. Next Bruin great. Maybe the next Bobby Orr.
Well, if we trade DeCarlo for Lager Jam.
Carlo.
And who's the guy that they're in Colorado? Log Jam?
Landeskog.
Landeskog. There you go.
Second overall pick in the draft a couple years ago, Curtis. Keep up. Anyway.
Holly loves him.
Much respect to them.
Anyway, it was a weird day. Where did you find Amin El-Hassan's comments on race in Boston?
So yesterday, I'm trying to find, after I got the notice from ESPN PR saying that Jamel Hill, not coming on.
Not going to do it.
But the guy said to me, she addressed these comments on the Noon Sports Center. And I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
So I send a note to ESPN Communications, who I communicate with to talk with about who I send the Brady information. Whenever Brady's on, I'll send them the link and they play it and credit the show. So they're usually pretty helpful with me requesting the audio of her Noon Sports Center. I hadn't gotten it as of 7 o'clock last night. So I'm just searching audio video at ESPN.com and this True Hoop podcast comes up.
That some people are insinuating that Boston is a less than racially tolerant town.
And it says she's addressing the Jay Crowder situation.
Right.
So it's about an hour long. I'm just sort of fast forwarding through it, seeing it, and I get into the race conversation.
Talking to people who live there, and even some of the black people who live there. Yes, they have those. And
shouts to Bobby Brown.
And what I didn't, it was sort of unintentional, is that I landed on Amin El-Hassan by way of Jamel. So
yes.
he was the star of today.
Yes, he was. Which you teased it at 8, and I will even say this. Kirk asked you what, graded on a scale of 1 to 10. You said 9 out of 10.
But Curtis is guaranteeing this is great sound.
I was going to say like 5. I wasn't sure. I guess I hadn't heard the whole piece.
Right.
The record scratch thing we didn't have initially.
The whole thing, here's the frustrating part, and I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but this was sent, and I thought it was going to all be in this morning when I got here, the whole podcast. It
Yeah.
wasn't. It wasn't fully loaded in until like 5:30. So we didn't
want to blame Ryan Garvin, overnight man.
Shame, shame, shame.
I
It was
just-
working the back end of a triple.
Whatever. It just wasn't in. I thought it was going to be in. So I rolled it in. I grabbed a couple cuts for off the top. It should have been more organized, but when we finally got to it, all that audio was there. It just wasn't set up the right way by me.
In fact, we came in with it at 7.
Right.
Kirk yelled at me for introducing sound that nobody knew who it was.
Probably should have set that up, I would say. Wouldn't you say, Jerry, or no? As we kick off hour 2.
That's a good point. We could have
Pretty
set that up.
stupid
Not sure
producing
who,
right
not
there,
sure
I
who
gotta
was
say.
talking there.
Pretty stupid.
Who,
Whose idea
quick,
was that?
fill us in. Who said that they would hate Kyrie Irving in Boston?
Why would you play that without having us set it up? Nobody knows who that voice is.
Yeah, but it would spark conversation right off the top. I think it's a bold cut there coming out.
That was a mistake, right?
I think that was a mistake.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Normally a legitimate criticism, and you and I are aware of that. We don't like to play audio from voices that people in their car don't obviously know. But in this case, I was with you. I thought it was short enough and would spark conversation enough to play over the open.
Kyrie Irving could never play in Boston. That's the guy that they would hate. That's who they hate right there.
From Amin El Hassan. Turned out that wasn't the money clip we would get to in the 8 o'clock hour, but I still thought it was good enough.
Here's what I thought was going to happen: is we'd play the sound.
Yeah.
And then Kirk would be like, "Wait a second.
Yes.
Who is that?
What was that?"
And then we would play a longer bite, and that would allow them to introduce it instead of the long open, set it up. Because no matter when we played that cut, I knew Jerry and Kirk would be like, "Wait, who is that?" Because that's just what they would say. They don't know these people's voices.
Right.
And they would remind the audience. That's their way of sort of telling the audience, who this is speaking. So I thought it would have worked. Obviously, Kirk disagreed. And
They don't even know who Jamel Hill is.
Correct. They do not.
And our producer thinks, they'll recognize these people.
You tend to agree with Kirk, and I agree with him here. So,
I mean,
fair point, Kirk.
No, but it ended up being kind of a cluster, but we got through it, and we finally pieced our audio together, and it was good enough that sparked conversation enough through headlines. Then we found, where did we find part 2? The record
it was just after the.
I see.
It was there was like a 4-minute conversation that they had regarding race, Kyrie Irving, Crowder, and experiences in Boston.
We missed it. Like, that should have been in the open.
Yes. Well, that whole thing could have been.
Sure. I put a lot of Jamel in the open.
From SportsCenter.
Yeah, even some Odell Beckham stuff.
It's not like he went to Miami or they went to Miami the night before.
Which, if we had it at 6, should have been out of there. So you and I kind of fucked up today.
You want me to say I fucked up? For the 5th time. I fucked up.
Kind of, but it was organic enough that it actually worked during the show. It kind of grew as the show grew.
I would say that it was disorganized because it wasn't properly sort of all in the system before the show started, so it could have been in the open and elsewhere. But I do think that we sort of had 2 layers to it, unintentionally. The 7 a.m. segment and the 8 a.m. segment were both different and unique.
Well, no, and initial credit goes to you for finding the True Hoop podcast, because God knows Kirk and Jerry were not going to be regular listeners that just chanced upon that. So we wouldn't have got the audio at all if you hadn't heard it. But there was even better audio that would have. You're going to blame Ryan Garvin, the overnight guy? I don't blame you.
I think that's a cheap shot.
He didn't have it rolled in for the morning.
No, whatever. It's no big deal. It just the reason I mention is that every other time I would send something, and I've had it in bold in the show sheet, that usually that's done and already. But carry on.
Now, so you collectively assemble some of these ESPN personalities, and Richard Deitch.
Preparing for my summit with Chris Curtis.
Richard Deitch was tweeting after the show when Jerry was taking screenshots of Max Kellerman with his Hardo sunglasses on SportsCenter.
Tom Brady's just about done.
First take,
sorry. It has become a full-out morning show war between Kirk and Callahan and the 4-letter network.
That is on ESPN, a place that claims that they don't have any, they don't go outside the world of sports, nothing social, nothing political. This guy, forget about some people insinuating like Bomani. I'll give this guy credit. He's not a puss like they are. He just says it.
It's not going to stop because ESPN is just preventing us or not allowing anybody to come on our show to talk about this and address it. Jerry and Kirk and the people of Boston have a right to hear some answers as to why this absurd claim is being constantly allowed without any feedback or any retribution on ESPN.
But that's happened to me for real in Boston. Like, walk in, the music stopped, and everybody who was all in their individual conversations stopped turning to watch. And I'm not talking about it's like places not a stone's throw from the arena.
That Boston's racist. It's just thrown around there like, you got to stop the run and, win on 3rd down.
Once you're in a tournament, it's anyone's game.
In regards to El Hassan, Kornheiser used to grade the heads or whatever, level 1 head or what. He would be at lowest end. Nobody's ever heard of this guy.
Right.
But he's an ESPN dude. He's an NBA exec, former. They're trying to promote him. Weird that he almost walked out of Israel Gutierrez's show, the Izzy in Spain show. So, we've got crime.
And they're crossing paths together.
Right.
It's bizarre.
I don't know why you're laughing. I'm not playing.
I'm probably laughing because you can't hit me in the face.
I can't keep track anymore, but been bizarre and it's been entertaining from my point.
I got to tell you, the fact that we're through 2 shows this week and they've been as what they were, I am thrilled considering the lack of storylines going in with the Pats game.
9 o'clock hour took a severe turn. We went back to the Belichick press conference fun.
Yes or no? Is Meryl Streep overrated? Yes or no? Just answer the friggin' question, Coach.
Which we get as much praise of the segment of Jerry and Kirk talking over Bill and asking, inane questions.
Bill, I heard this week Kirk Minahan said on the radio he masturbated in the movie theater to Edward Scissorhands. Wow. Shouldn't that be illegal?
Have you ever done that?
As we do, hatred of it. Like the text line fills up every time we do it of stop talking over Belichick. That always stuns me. That people are pissed off enough to text in as they're driving to work, I want to hear more Belichick talk Texans.
Do you think people really feel that way?
Yes,
or just...
I read the text line.
No, I know, but I wonder if they're sending that in to get a rise out of us.
I get these texts from Minahan all the time.
I don't think so. I mean...
Who the fuck wants to hear that? And Trags, Jesus. Didn't Kirk say, is Trags the only one there?
Guys, I do think you got to lighten up. I mean, geez.
And Trags is asking him about, the ferry ride and, whatever else. I mean, he had like 16 straight questions.
Trags is not real. He is not a real human. He is a caricature of something else. He's like Arbomani. He's you know what I mean? He can't really be that wonky press conference guy. That's not real.
Trags is going to be on with us every day, right? 4 hours a day,
I think so.
Time. Yep.
Yeah,
that's what the
management approved. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, that was good. And today had the added bonus of we were mixing callers in with the Belichick press conference. In fact, we had one caller on who wanted to hear the Belichick press conference.
Yeah.
Can you shut the hell up, please, so we can listen to Belichick?
Mike, I'm trying to listen to the coach. Why are you calling and bothering me? I'm trying to get nuggets and about the secondary of the Texans. Will Vrabel take a job with the Rams? Everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to shut up. Shut up. Play it. Turn up the coach. Turn up the coach right now. Turn him up.
Kirk was actually viscerally sitting up and down in his chair like one of those pogo sticks.
It was hilarious.
It was a great visual. I wish we had it on camera because it was as funny to watch as the audio would have been coming across afterwards. That was fun. Then we took a complete Albuquerque at Schilling and Globe votes. We went back to Hall of Fame in 9:30. What the hell happened there?
I don't know. They had teased it a couple times throughout the show. It was in the Globe today, and I think it was an easy way to sort of shit on Shaughnessy and Pete Abe, which is I'm all for. That works for me. And we got to play the Shalen bobblehead drop.
I collect bobbleheads.
Which is, I don't think that's going anywhere. I think that's a keeper.
Shales. I call him Shales.
Oh, sorry, Shales.
Shales, to be honest.
Today was, I don't know if it was A+, Kirk and Callahan, but wasn't bad. It wasn't our worst.
It went by very quickly.
We also had, not to be forgotten today, Alex Reimer forgetting what hospital he was born in or claiming he misremembered.
Where were you born?
Door. I was born in Boston. I forget which hospital, though.
You forget what hospital you were born in?
How would I remember that? How would I know that?
You don't remember.
How would you know that?
Look at
How would
your
I know
birth
that? Well, when was the last time you looked at your birth certificate?
That was a Pete Shepherdian forgetting your middle name spelling.
I have a cool middle name, Blaze.
Blaze?
B-L-A-I-S. It's a famous saint in Europe. It's actually kind of cool for radio because they have a big feast every year. Yes.
Doesn't even know how to spell his own middle name.
It was a bad moment for Reim-Dog.
How do we find these people to do our fucking casting couches?
Oh, big day for Reimer. Don't want to finish this without saying he got his badge.
Oh.
Big
now he's
moment.
allowed in the building.
In the building. Intercom is officially gay-friendly.
I'm gay as a goose.
And Reimer got his badge.
Good. A lot of talk after the show, back in the office, about Trenny tomorrow. How will she handle the heat? Are you confident? You've spoken to Trenny about tomorrow. She's good to go. She's ready to go.
She's good to go, ready to go. She's already asking about next week, so that shows she's, I don't think...
Let's get through tomorrow first, Trenny.
Running away. Tomorrow has the chances of being pretty rough for Trenny.
Are you okay? You want a hug? It's the holidays.
She said some things that are, easy to say with Tomasi on the weekend.
This is going to be the Northeast progressive liberal in me.
Don't apologize for
racist.
Like about Skip Gates.
So 2009, when the Harvard professor was arrested at his own home.
Other comments about Boston, about our approach. Me specifically, I was kind of taking some of the...
Yeah, she's very defensive.
Mad about
Sarah
how
Spain.
I went after Sarah Spain.
I just think it's counterproductive.
That we were the Game of Thrones going after these guests.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting environment. But the one thing...
All right, in the ultimate irony, I've just spilled coffee. Coffee with Callahan will not be heard today. Coffee on the floor of the pod center here, thanks to Ken Laird's.
That's a Chris
party
Curtis
foul.
move right there, by the way.
You've spilled coffee before?
I spilled Fresca on a brand new board on Brand X.
Ooh.
About 2 weeks into the new show.
No way. Mike Thomas might not have been happy there.
No. There was a CBS-wide email sent out we deemed the Chris Curtis rule. Are you a member of the LGBT community? For all radio stations in the country. So
No liquids near
boards.
Thankfully, this was enough far away from the equipment. Nothing got burned, I think. Just floor damage. Anyway, back to training.
So yeah, I think it'll be a very interesting morning. I think she's got the biggest balls of anybody at Comcast.
No question.
Mike Giardi.
Phil Perry was bold today in the press conference. Might want to pump the brakes there.
Can we pump the brakes a little bit?
I don't know where Phil Perry stands on Landeskog, but
by the way, did you notice John Tomasi has taken a new approach to pump the brakes?
Can we ease off the accelerator just a little bit?
I like that.
Oh, by the way, we got 2 new low-hanging fruit comments.
Yes.
One by Jamel, one by Michael Smith. I think I'm going to be a fan of this new show.
I know it's low-hanging fruit.
This is low-hanging fruit. This is a lazy storyline.
They keep doing that. Mm-hmm. But I'm very excited for tomorrow's show. I think it will be...
What do you predict will happen with Trenny? I maintain she will go the evasive route. She'll battle for a bit, but when it comes to a point, she's not going to want to really get down in the weeds and knock down drag out for 4 hours of this.
I sense some serious agitation from Trenny to callers tomorrow because I think she can take enough of it from Kirk and Jerry, but if callers start pouncing and going after her...
Yeah.
You're not from this area. You don't understand.
Oh, I'm not from this area where I can't have any opinions on anything that has to do with Boston sports.
She got mad at Turtle Boy over the weekend.
Yeah.
She, was sort of going back and forth about other hosts at the station and all the other stuff. So I think it will be entertaining, combative, uncomfortable at times, and I'm not sure how it will end up.
So a Gary Tanway update, a short one. Gary was on with Kirk last night on Comcast.
Your whole body language. Wake up.
And we think, did Kirk guarantee it?
He said it will happen, I believe were the words he used.
Okay, he's confident that Gary Tanway will make his return in Houston with the guys.
Should the Patriots go, he will join us for an hour on Radio Row.
And we'll kind of use that as the barometer for whether it will continue longer term?
That will be a measuring stick for the future of Mr. Tanway on the morning show.
I'm done. I'm done.
And Meter has been benched.
Meter is on the bench.
After canceling yet again.
The nightmare continues.
Jerry, I think, is legitimately unhappy with his guy because he and Meter go back a long way. This was the day they were counting on Meter to be here. Well, if he had legitimate family excuses or not, but Jerry's not buying it. It didn't seem to me. He's pretty upset Meter was not here today.
And Jerry also got some shit from Meter when we didn't have him on the casting couch early on that he should do it. He'd be in. He was free, all this stuff. And then he's sort of in the rotation, and he's disappearing on us. Right. So frustrating.
But Candyman is in for Thursday. Candyman! This may be a Wally Pipp story.
The Candyman is back in for back-to-back Thursdays. So we'll go from there.
And see how he does, and maybe next week, too.
Could be 3 straight Thursdays. And he told me yesterday that Wednesday's his birthday. So Jerry commented that he liked the tweet when he was shit-faced. He said he's going to get extra drunk Wednesday night and have stories for us Thursday. So get on that, Candyman.
Ooh, good.
Woo!
Can't be worse than Mutt stories, which will be Friday.
Just breathe.
All right. See you tomorrow for what should be a wild, trendy Thursday.
See you, bud.